Hi, Aaron. Welcome to the CreatiVisibility Podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be your very first guest.
Yes, I can't remember when we discovered each other, but
Nor I.
I feel like you were either moving from Florida or was like somewhere within that transition of you moving from Florida to Atlanta, because I remember knowing specifically that I remember you moving 2 years ago. So I don't know if it was just like
Okay.
on TikTok, you were just kind of getting your feet wet.
Yeah, so you know what? It would have had to be before TikTok because I hopped on at the beginning of the pandemic, but I moved officially in June of 2019 from Miami to Atlanta. So I guess maybe we just
Instagram, maybe.
Instagram. It had to have been, yeah, mutual friends being
Yeah.
homos, and yeah, love that.
Tell the audience a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into your content creation, but your history of being an actor and what brought you to Atlanta.
Yeah. So, hey everyone, my name is Aaron. My username basically everywhere is Aaron Goldyboy, which is AARONGOLDY boy. And I grew up in Miami, which is where I started, everything acting in church when I was younger and like transitioning to student films and community theater in my teenage years. And then finally in my kind of early 20s college years getting an agent, really diving into TV, film, commercials, and doing theater here and there as well. Yeah, and acting is just like what I've wanted to do my whole life. And I don't think I really grasped growing up in Miami, which does feel like a very artistically rich city. I didn't really grasp that like a TV and film career based out of there was going to be a lot harder than a place like LA and New York and now Atlanta. So I kind of just thought I would live there my whole life, and it finally clicked one day, like, oh, you've got to go where the work is. I don't know why it took me so long to to understand that. And there is stuff that happens down in Miami, but I just knew that there were going to be a lot more opportunities if I moved, and I love Atlanta. The fact that it has blown up over the last few years, and the fact that it's like still pretty close to home, made it a pretty logical next step for me. So, yeah, so I moved here 2 years ago to pursue TV and film. I got an agent a few months later, and then the pandemic hit a few months after that. So I found myself at home with lots of time, and for some reason I thought that like TikTok was like a dance and lip sync place only. So then when I realized you could post comedy there too, I was like, oh, I can do that. I'll just do the stuff that I like make on Instagram, which my Instagram and my YouTube and everything that I had ever done before that had never really gained popularity. I think maybe I had about 1,000 followers on Instagram. Nothing had ever blown up and gone viral, and my YouTube, I had kind of given up on that because I was putting in so many hours and just like zero return. And then I'm one of those people that like my first video on TikTok went pretty viral, got like 300,000 views, which for me at the time, like nothing I'd ever created had gotten that many. So I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And, I get it. Like the video was pandemic themed. It was quick cuts, comedy, all that stuff. So it made sense. But then, as usually happens with something like TikTok or any place that like gives you a viral video right away, the rest of my stuff crashed pretty immediately. So it was confusing going from that to like videos that struggled to get 500 views, and I was like, okay, I guess I just need to keep doing this. And yeah, it's been, I mean, I can go into other details later, but yeah, so from that really like kind of launched a lot of other platforms for myself. And
did you feel like you were like very conscious about like, okay, I'm going to create content, I'm going to be a content creator? Or did you feel like you were like, you know what? I'm just here. I'm going to figure this out. The pandemic's here and I'm just going to keep making shit.
yeah, I kind of thought, I mean, there are probably private videos on my TikTok account now, but like I was just reposting videos I made from Instagram. I wasn't thinking of myself as a TikTok creator or even a content creator necessarily, because again, my main thing is and has always been acting. Um, uh, so yeah, I didn't know that it would take off like it did. I wasn't really expecting it to. Um, but when it did, as the months went on and the traction grew, and then I started getting asked to do like promotions and ads for companies, I was like, oh, this is how people make money on social media. The people that I see that are always on vacation or whatever, like, oh, this is how it happens. Okay. And I was getting grossly underpaid, I now realize, for a lot of those things. Companies really try to kind of take advantage of people not knowing how social media works and all that. But now I've got an agent that deals with that, which I'm very grateful for. And yeah, I don't know if I answered your questions. I'm going to go on tangents. Just letting you know up front. That's me. So if you need to interrupt me and like get me back on track, then great.
I'm very curious about.
That's fine.
No, because I think that there are many artists or actors out there who feel like they lose their legitimacy
Totally.
if they go into content creation or become influencers, quote unquote. How do you continue to sort of wrestle with that as an artist? Be like, I still feel like a legitimate artist, even if I'm going to make money doing this.
Yeah. I think for me, looking to people that I idolize in this niche, I guess. So people like Jimmy Fowley and Johnny Sibley, who are just two that I could talk about that have legitimate acting, like screen, TV, and film acting careers, as well as content creation. I think, it doesn't happen until it happens. Like, I'm sure that most people look at me right now because they don't recognize me from anything TV and film and say like, oh, he's just a like online whatever. And I get people in the comments saying like, you should be an actor. I'm like, oh, really? Should I? Okay, yeah. I never respond snarky like that, but I'm like, yeah, that's like my main thing. That's like what I've been doing. Or you should audition for a really big movie. I'm like, thanks for the thought. Love that idea. Why didn't I think of that before? And like, it's out now. I don't think an NDA really matters at this point, but like I auditioned for Spider-Man 3. Like I've auditioned for Marvel and DC and Stranger Things and things that you either book or you don't book, and it's just like all part of the job. But I never would have auditioned for any of those if I didn't move to Atlanta. So I haven't really had these major audition opportunities until about 2 years ago. And then of course there was like an 8 to 9 month hiatus on all of that. So, but I am very fortunate, like this year, to have booked several things, none of which have come out yet. But I can talk about one. I'm going to be in an upcoming Lifetime movie called Here Kills the Bride. I think it's coming out in like the spring, so like bridal season. And I play the wedding planner. I was number 5 or 6 on the call sheet, so that was really. Can I curse?
Yeah,
I should have asked that before. Great, that was really fucking cool to be a part of a project like that, where the majority of the cast and crew came from LA, and then I was the highest number on the call sheet that was from Atlanta. So that was a moment for me of feeling like, okay, no matter what has happened or how some people might think of you or see you, like you are a legitimate actor, and this is telling you that. I also got a chance this summer, I can tell you off the record later, maybe, to be a part of an HBO Max pilot, as well as a Netflix pilot.
Cool.
And the Netflix show just wrapped like a few days ago, so I'm really excited to have those come out. And
yay, good.
You know, hopefully like a snowball sort of thing will happen. But I do know on the flip side of that, I do know some people, including casting directors, that have just kind of flat out. So there was one that I spoke to, and I was just asking her a question, like out of curiosity during one of these workshops, because I had been approached by like several different indie films or lower budget projects, asking if I would be a part of something without an audition even, because they were saying like, you know, having somebody with your numbers online might help us get funding and all that, which was kind of cool. So I asked her like, hey, for something like, if I'm auditioning for these big projects, does it help for my agent to mention my social media following, which is not gigantic, but it's something.
Yeah. What is your TikTok is what at this point?
My TikTok right now, I think, is reaching like 780 this morning, 780K. And then my Instagram is 44,000 something right now.
That's nothing to sneeze at. That's good.
Yeah, but it's not the millions that they might like actually consider like, oh, this is a person we, you know, will make millions of dollars from or whatever. So she basically said like, that really only matters for indie projects. These other companies have such large marketing budgets that it really doesn't influence anything. I had another casting director during a workshop. I was doing 2 takes of a scene. So we like self-taped it at home, and then he was judging in class. And one of them I did a lot more like subtle and subdued and like grounded. And then the other one I kind of brought it up a little bit and kind of gave it a little more comedy energy. But I still thought it was realistic. And during the feedback, he mentioned, you know, you don't want to like TikTok up this take. And that like stuck with me the whole class. So then at Q&A afterwards, I was like, hey, I'm just wondering like what you meant by that specifically. And he was like, you know, so I've seen your TikTok, and you're very big there, you know? And I was like, okay, question, because I've never gotten to ask a casting director this, like, does it, you know, because that's just sort of my brand there, the nature of a lot of my comedy. Does that stick out to you as maybe a person that doesn't know me or hasn't seen me act elsewhere? Does that stick out to you as like, oh, this is probably the only thing this guy can do. He can't do anything else. And he was like, honestly, it's going to depend, but I wouldn't look at that and say, oh, I bet he can be realistic and grounded. And I was like, okay, got it. I can. P.S. But
I mean, that's like what auditions are for, right?
Right, like... exactly. So I don't know. But then I've also heard, so Caitlin Riley.
I love her.
We all love and adore.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
I've talked to her about this stuff, and she also has gotten a chance to be.
Oh, she's Atlanta-based too, right?
She's not. She's in L.A.
Oh, she's in L.A.
Yeah. So I know that she, as a result of TikTok, has had huge doors open. You know, she's a part of several upcoming gigantic projects.
Great.
And I'm so stoked for her. So like, I see that and I know that it can happen, but then I guess I'm just talking to the wrong people or like the people that don't appreciate it the same way that maybe the opportunities that are opening for her. So I really don't know. I think you're going to get both sorts of reactions. And I think the main thing that's going to matter is like consistency in the end, you know? And then once I get footage from these other legit projects, it'll be like, oh, he has done TV and film and knows how to act for the for a screen that's not your phone and all that.
Yeah. But I also say to people often, like, also, like, if you're making money from your social media
Yeah.
and these casting people don't want to, like, certain people don't want to cast you, then screw them. Like, you're
Totally.
paying your bills doing what you love. So, like, whatever.
Yes. I was gonna say that when you first asked the question, like, if this is how you want to make your money, like the majority of actors, I think it's only the top 3% or something that pay their bills from SAG, or the top 3% of SAG actors are the ones that pay their bills from acting.
Right.
The rest of them, we have to have other jobs, other work, and I would love the day where I'm just so crazy busy that I don't have time to create online stuff, or I can do one video a month. Wonderful, swell. Put me in that ship. But that's not a phrase. Put me in that ship. But like right now, I need to make money, and I'm also somebody that's like mostly really trying to stay safe with the pandemic and stuff. And I could do serving, I could do brand ambassador work, I could be doing any kind of number of jobs, but I love creating content and writing and editing and all the kind of things that come with it. And yeah, if somebody wants to judge me for that and like not cast me or not give me a chance because I've chosen this as my way to make my living, then they can fuck off and it's okay.
So do you feel like as a content creator, you have to love writing, you have to love editing, you have to love, like, like, is there a way to make content and not love the whole process?
100%. But then it takes discipline, which I feel like for me is a week to week thing. Like, let's see how much discipline we have. For instance, for YouTube, I've hired an editor. So that's the only thing that I outsource my material to, because nope. No, sorry.
What is it?
My Mac female identifying assistant was triggered by something I said.
Oh.
So she told me what the weather was. I don't remember asking that, but
thanks, Siri.
Great. Anyway, yeah. No, don't say it.
Oh, I just made her open on mine, so
you're good.
Okay,
you're
great.
Good. Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What was I saying?
You were saying
I've hired a YouTube editor because the footage for those videos, the rough, like the unedited, is usually about 30 to 35 minutes. I edited the first video with me and Drew, and it took me forever. And I knew that, like, even though it took me forever, I just didn't have the time and energy to put all the like extra flair on it that I think makes a really fun, entertaining YouTube video. So I sought out an editor, found one. She lives in London. She's incredible. Love her. But yeah, otherwise, like, some weeks I really, really love every part of the process, and that's usually when you'll see like a bunch of new skits rolling out. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't feel like writing. I don't feel like editing. So you'll see that, like, I don't really put subtitles on my things because that takes the extra editing, or sometimes that's honestly like what makes me collab with other people. Like, that's really what started getting me to do videos with different friends. Was I'm tired of acting by myself in my bedroom, and I want like some kind of more creative community experience. And then once I've done that, I've got more energy to go edit and work on it at home and all that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess that how much strategy or planning actually goes into your content?
Again, it depends. So I've
what's your goal? Like, you want to post every day? Like, what's your goal? Like,
the goal at minimum is to post something every day. Some weeks I've got a really great, like, I'll spend the previous week writing, and then I'll spend one day filming everything, and then I'll spend that next week editing and releasing as the days go on. And then if another random video idea pops into my head, I'll film and edit and post that too. Um, these days, I feel pretty spent. So, doing things with my friend Drew just makes it more fun and enjoyable for me. Or I'm doing a lot of reposts or like things that I realize, like, oh, I posted this on TikTok a while ago, but I never did it to Instagram. So let me just post it there. Because even though it's not new content, which there's always sort of a weird like imposter syndrome thing of like, oh, you're just reposting. It's like, no, well, you know what, maybe I need that today, so shush you.
Well, I started doing that too, kind of experimenting with that too, interestingly enough, because because Instagram now is, doing the paid bonuses for reels. So I'm like, I need, that's great, makes some extra money. So I'm actually reposting old reels because my audience has grown. But
Same.
also because like I knew that one performed really well. If I post it again, I might actually get paid for the views.
Right.
So I'm like, screw it, make some money,
Hell yeah. And here's the thing, like people that I keep trying to remind myself and challenge myself to not care. I realize that I'm caring and thinking about it way more than anybody else is. And if somebody actually does take time out of their day to write a rude comment or be like, isn't this a repost? What the heck, man? Like, then, whatever. I usually what happens is I'll click on their profile and they don't even follow me. I'm like, why are you here?
I know. I get this too. It's so insane. It's so insane. Okay, so I do want to get to talking about you and Drew in a minute. Sure. But I'm very curious, just from your perspective, being openly LGBTQ, and I know you've had some drama with TikTok with your TikToks for some reason, but I also feel like there's something in Stephen and I have our Broadway Husbands account, and so when you enter this sort of LGBTQ space of content creation, I feel like the audience is varied, right? There's a very thirsty contingent of people, and then there's like the very like ally, family friendly, other side of that, which is kind of where we lean with Broadway Husbands. How do you? But if you hashtag gay or hashtag, you don't know where you're going to land on that spectrum.
Sure.
How do you navigate being openly gay, serving the community, because it's super important to be visible to me for those young people that want to know that there's a place for them in the world. But also, like, if you want to grow your following, you got to throw some of that thirst in there. So how do you navigate that?
So, such a big question. First of all, yeah, I agree that I believe it's important to be visible. I think there was a point where when I first started coming out, I felt incredibly guilty and like I had lied to everybody for so long. And I know it's more complicated than that. I was lied to, and thus sort of lying to myself of, believing it was a sin and that you could change and that you just had to like try really, really hard and whatever. And so I believe that being visible really is so important, because like you said, it's for that younger generation. I've had now like former students of mine or teens that I used to work with at my old church, DM me and say like, hey, I just want to let you know that like I see what you're doing and it's helping me accept like myself. And I'm like, thank you. Thank the God that I don't believe in anymore. But like, like it makes it feel so worth it. Me making these like goofy videos that I'm not online preaching coming out and being yourself and loving yourself and gay joy and all that stuff. But I think it just shines through, especially for those people that need it. Like I know that when I was still trying to find myself, just watching a video of somebody like Benny Drama, who's hysterical and so creative, really made me see like, oh, you can be gay and happy, because I've been told for so long you can't. And yet this person genuinely does seem happy and like they're being successful and they don't hate themselves and they're not a bad person. And, you know, like, so yes, audience wise, definitely have a spectrum. Thankfully, I haven't really found myself, to my knowledge, on like gay hate TikTok or any of those sort of spaces. Occasionally when a video of mine goes more viral, I'll get comments saying like, this is gross, or like, Jesus loves you so much, like, please turn back now. You know, and I usually...
Or the sick emoji. We get the green sick puke emoji sometimes.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, but I do believe that thankfully the algorithms on these various apps have placed me in mostly ally sort of spaces, which is nice. And I know that's not the case with everybody. I feel like the bigger you get, the more hate I see on those people's channels. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, even with my minimal success on TikTok, for instance, I've gotten so many videos banned and so many marks against my account for things that I'm like, hold on. I've seen so much, you know, quote, worse content on people's channels, whether it's gay or straight or whatever. But like, I've literally seen people in thongs and then the thong breaks. So you still not seeing like whole, but you're seeing a girl's full-on ass out. I've never done anything close to that. Or like, if anybody knows Garrett Nolan, for instance, like, God love him, he works really hard, but it's very frustrating having a heterosexual creator like that free to do whatever they want just because they're, I guess, verified and have millions of followers. And then for me to get a video taken down when there's no nudity, and the sexual words that I am using are things like I'm saying a lollipop instead of dick. Like I'm using what we're trying to like.
They're euphemisms.
Right, exactly. Like how is that graphic? How is that against community guidelines? And unfortunately, the way that TikTok works is usually, if a video gets taken down, you have the opportunity to appeal it in most cases. But even with the appeal, and even if they say, oh, yep, sorry, here's your content back, sorry for the inconvenience, there still exists those marks in the system against your account. And so for me, what I've seen over the past 6 months is overall my views have gone way down, and overall my growth has gone way down. And there are videos that I'm like, I know this is good. I know that if they would just show this to my followers, to my almost 800,000 followers, that they would like it. Or in some cases, the thing I hate the most is like a video of mine will seem to be taking off. Like I'll get 10,000 views in the first hour, which for me is a struggle now, even though I used to get 100,000 views in the first hour. There was a point where I was even getting 100,000 views in 10 minutes, like in the first 10 minutes of things. And now usually if I get about 500 views in the first 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, this video might do okay. Which I'm like, why? I don't understand. There's something behind the scenes, and I don't think it's intentional by TikTok, but I do believe TikTok really needs to seek out ways to help protect their creators and not stifle their growth or their creativity, because it's fucking depressing.
Do you feel like there was like something in your audience, like someone reporting your content?
I do feel I do feel like there was that for a while. I was also getting a lot of spam comments, so I don't know if there were people saying there's probably blogs somewhere. I don't know how the underbelly of homophobia works,
Right.
but people like go attack.
You
this
don't?
person.
You don't
No,
know?
I don't. But I have seen comments occasionally like, "Let's get this guy banned again." Yeah, so I like immediately report that person and block them, but I'm like, how many of my followers are actually people that are just trying to report all of my content and get me taken off this app? Because I've been banned from creating for up to 2 weeks at different times, and I'm just like, or banned from posting and going live or commenting or anything. I'm just like, and then at the end of that 2 weeks is when the appeal finally goes through, and it says, "Oh, sorry, the your video actually wasn't unsafe." I'm like, yeah, I fucking know.
Right. You're like, 2 weeks later.
Or the thing that pissed me off the most, Brett, was there was one video where I was supposed to be banned for a week. I put in the appeal immediately. The appeal went through within 1 minute, meaning I don't know what that means, but it went through instantly, basically. And my next notification I got was, "By the way, you're still banned for 4 days. Please continue to follow community guidelines." And I was like, you just told me by restoring my content that I didn't break any community guidelines. So why the fuck am I still banned for 4 days because of your faulty system? So shit like that.
That's so frustrating.
Very frustrating, infuriating. It takes the wind out of my sails. It makes me not want to do stuff. So that's why I've really put a lot more energy towards things like Instagram, things like now OnlyFans, because they reached out to me and were like, "Hey, we're looking for more like comedy creators," and just kind of to branch out from, from being known as just like that porn site.
Yeah.
And I started that 5 days ago, and it's gone really well so far. I'm just like, why didn't I do this before? I've made, just to give you an idea, made more money on OnlyFans in 5 days than I've made from the TikTok Creator Fund in 6 months.
Wow.
So I know that not every span of 5 days is going to be that amount of money with OnlyFans, but still, I'm like, okay, this is a platform that seems to actually like
care about their creators.
Right. And work and want to work with me. And, I'm sure I know there's problems with every platform, but
well, I mean, you're going to run into, aren't you afraid with OnlyFans? There's already such a cliche around it that like,
yes, which is one reason I hesitated getting on for so long. And I told them when they emailed me back in January, February, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to pass for right now. Thank you so much."
Like, that's not the kind of content my friend Drew and I make. So
Right. And
although your fans probably would like to see that.
100%. And well, now we get a bunch of DMs on OnlyFans like, "So you're not even gonna suck his dick or anything? Like, really? Okay, I guess I'm unsubscribing." I'm like, "All right, bye." But yeah, I truly don't remember what I was saying there, but
we were talking about, so the OnlyFans, you initially were gonna not take it because of the
stigma and
the stigma. Yeah.
Everything that I do, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever, YouTube, is always with the thought in the back of my head, like, is this going to help me reach my goals or hinder me somehow? And back then, my assumption was like, this might hurt my acting career, being on OnlyFans. But then I realized, like, well, I can be on OnlyFans and only post things that I know are not going to get in the way of that. And like, I'm a very sexually free person. Like, if I didn't believe that it would hurt my chances of getting, or like if we lived in a world where like nudity and porn weren't as taboo as they were, 100%, I would be doing all that stuff. I love sex. I love videotaping and, all that. I rarely do those things anymore. Like, even on Grindr, I don't send nudes. Or if I do, it's in very like rare cases, because always in the back of my mind is like, this is going to end up
get out. Yeah.
Online somewhere. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And with the amount that I'm recognized on Grindr, I'm like, Yeah, I'm not gonna risk this right
Yeah.
now. So with OnlyFans, I feel like I hope that maybe Drew and I can be part of the change in perception for OnlyFans and even get more creators on there to start making a living that you have the potential to, that some of these other platforms are not really working with their creators.
They're working with advertisers, not their creators.
Right.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, so I'm super excited to see how this grows. And I also think the whole OnlyFans thing is funny and ironic for the
Mm-hmm.
content that you and Drew make. So for those that don't follow yet, and you should follow, Drew's your roommate or just friends?
So we're friends. A lot of people think we're roommates,
Yeah,
but yeah.
and Drew is straight, but
Mm-hmm.
like super hunky, muscular, like hottie.
He
And
is. Thanks for noticing.
it's hard not to. And they started doing these funny videos where I'm gonna probably botch this, so I'm just gonna take a stab at it and see how it goes.
Go for it.
Where Drew would come to Aaron for advice on how to respond to people DMing him thirsty things,
Mm-hmm.
and Aaron would give him, oh yeah, you could just say this back, and it was funny euphemisms and hilarious responses, and pretty brilliant. I think A, showing that Drew is an ally, B,
Mm-hmm.
that you can have a platonic relationship with a straight guy who's really hot and it doesn't have to be sexualized, and yet there's this underlying like sexual tension in all of them as
Yeah.
well. So did I get that right?
I think, and yes, you did. I think too, it's so great how like it really doesn't matter what we post. People are going to put their internal like hopes and dreams and perceptions onto a video. Um, Whereas like when Drew and I are together, it's real like, yes, obviously he's very fit. But I don't I'm not like constantly there lusting after him. Like he's
No.
just my goofy friend
Yeah.
Drew, who I love creating with and who we're like each other's biggest cheerleaders of, when we get an audition or um an opportunity, like our favorite thing together or a favorite thing to say is just like let's fucking go, like just all this stuff. So like now that we've started an OnlyFans and that's taking off, it's really cool to have this extra thing that we get to like dive into together, and that is doing well, and that we can hopefully use that money to like help support us to create stuff even more full time. Like let me read you
Oh yeah,
if
let me
I
hear
can
it.
find it really quick. A Somebody wrote me this DM and it was so wonderfully aggressive. Concerning me and Drew. Hold on. Oh, it might take me just a moment. Here we go. I found it. Whoa. Okay, so it's that long,
Oh, damn.
but it's so great. I think it represents a lot of people's views, probably unspoken or spoken. So first of all, I want to say you and Drew are awesome. I've been a fan since the first video you guys made, and you never fail to make me laugh. Second, and I say this from a place of love, just fuck already. Sweet buttery Jesus. It's obvious there's chemistry and we all know you're friends, but guess what? Sometimes friends fuck. Just get it out of your system and get busy making babies, for Christ's sake. I know Drew is straight, possibly in a relationship. Who cares? Drew can come out for a while. There's nothing to say he can't go back in again. But while he's out, you ride him like a crosstown bus. Get that shit on OnlyFans and make some scratch while scratching that itch. I'm sorry to be so direct, but I've taken a poll, and this is the general feeling of the masses. Now, one of you needs to get down on your knees and start chugging like a freshman during rush week. I'm not picky, frankly, and if you get to plowing like Mennonites in the spring, so be it.
Wow, that person's a writer.
Right? I actually like I responded. I was like, "Thank you so much for your passion and your thought. You've obviously put a lot of thought into this." I so enjoyed reading that message. But yeah, it's like that's not the energy that's there with me and Drew, like in person, you know.
No,
So,
but you found a really good partner in crime that gets it, gets
mhm.
what to serve the audience, and that's evident to me. It's like you're just partners. You're like you're writing partners, you're acting partners. You just know like okay, we can. This is what the audience wants. We'll give them that, and it's just enough, right? It's just enough to like keep people
Yeah.
laughing. But I think what I see in that as somebody who creates visible content, especially that importance of being visible for LGBTQ is that I see that like there's an ally. Drew is an ally.
Hmm.
That it's not that while you are being in like sexual, you're not being sexual together. It's like it's such a
Right.
cool, safe space that you've created, and I just want to honor that. I think that that's really what I see. So I hope you
Thanks.
I hope you continue to do that, and I hope that
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I've heard that like you know, even back when I was making videos with my real roommate, um, there are people that it's very meaningful to them to have that like straight gay friendship and for it to be normalized, because I know that for me as a gay teen and just young person, like I always felt like if I was out to my straight friends that it would create awkwardness, or um, they would get overly defensive, and some people do and did, and or I mistook their love and affection, their platonic love and affection, for hitting on me, so then I would take a step, you know, too far in trying to like test the waters and see if that's actually what it was, and then it would, you know, it would cause waves. And I feel like it's just so much better being open about all that stuff. And now in my life, I choose whether or not Drew or any of my hot straight friends, of which there are a lot because I know models and actors, like I just choose to take people at their word. So as long as somebody tells me they're straight, I don't care how maybe flamboyant they are or comfortable they are with whatever, like I'm going to honor that. And I think that's part of friendship too, you know. um,
Yeah.
it would be incredibly disrespectful, for instance, if Drew was trying to constantly like hook me up with girls, you know. And I've had that in the past where like I had friends who, now I understand it was pretty homophobic, like trying to say like, oh, dude, if you were just to hook up with a girl, I'd be so happy, man. And I'm like, that's rude. Um,
Yeah.
like, why not just be happy for who I
Yeah.
am? Because it's
Yeah.
normal. But yeah.
Yeah. I've heard all those things too. I get it.
Hmm.
Well, I am excited to see where all of this takes you. I think keep going. Screw, like if that's what I love about what you're doing is that you're like, TikTok's kind of making this difficult for me. I'm going to go other spaces. There's so many
Yeah.
options out there for creators. So find the space that works for you, that again can pay the bills.
Yeah.
If that's what you want. I've always been so impressed by you and just super inspired by you. What were we gonna say?
Oh, thank you, Brett. I was gonna say, like, I think one of the goals now with me like putting time and energy into so many different platforms is hoping that someday there will be some kind of an income from each of them. And so then you've got, you know, whatever money comes from TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and OnlyFans. Like right now, I am at a place where I'm making money from each of those platforms. Um, some are more than others. Right now, OnlyFans, even though it's the newest one, is providing me the most money, which is insane. Um, Also, I want to say, like, a lot of people, I think like, oh, it would just be so easy if I started an OnlyFans. Like, Drew and I built an audience elsewhere first, and those people came over. It's not like our OnlyFans came out of nowhere.
Correct.
And, I've even thought, of course, because I'm a gay man during a pandemic, I was like, what if I started an OnlyFans but just like didn't show my face? What if I like that would be fine, right? But then I'm like, where would I advertise that? I don't have an audience for that. So I very much realize that the success is because we have such awesome fans. And yeah, I'm hoping these other platforms start working out and catch up to join this. But I know that like every platform basically is kind of like trying to one up each other in how they treat their creators. So I'm like, please fight over me. Please like try to show me that your platform has the best incentives. And then that way, like, hopefully me and so many other content creators like me can actually start making a living for the hard work we do. Because whether people realize it or not, it is like, it's very consistent hard work. I definitely work more than 40 hours a week, and it's in my house and it's online and all that. So it's very different than traditional
showing
jobs.
Up, yeah.
But it is work, and it's something we deserve to be paid for.
100%. All right. Well, where can people come follow you? You already dropped some of those things. Aaron Goldie Boy on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and then
Facebook fan page. The two places that I'm really like, or I guess three that I'm really trying to grow right now are the YouTube. Right now we're not monetized there. So basically we just need people to watch more videos, and then and then you're able to get monetized. So go do that. Facebook is also doing a monetization system, so I'm trying to push more people over there as well. But yeah, OnlyFans, if you want to see like some exclusive content that we're not posting anywhere else. And the OnlyFans is only spelled slightly differently. So instead of BOY for the boy at the end of my username, it's BOIII.
3 eyes.
Oh, I should have done BOIX, because then you've got the X, but it's still like, wouldn't that be French for boy or something like that?
Boy.
Boy. God damn it. Oh
well.
That's fine.
Well, thank you for coming and talking us through this whole journey. It's been super impressive to watch. Go follow Aaron and Drew and keep plugging away. Keep being creative. Keep being courageous.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me, and love what you and your hubby are doing as well.
Thank you.